Hey everyone, today we're in Kansas and we're about 9 miles west of Dodge City, and they have this Santa Fe Trail track area that you can supposedly see the tracks. So we're gonna walk in here and tell a little bit about it and then see if we can see the tracks. So I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna see when we come in here, but there's this little marker here that says Santa Fe Trail 1822 to 1872, marked by the Daughters of the American Revolution and the state of Kansas in 1906. And I guess they would know better than I would, but I thought that the Santa Fe Trail started in 1821, about 1 year prior. Maybe the dates are up for grab, or I don't know, but I also thought that the Santa Fe Trail ended in 1880, basically when the Santa Fe Railroad came through. That pretty much put the nail in the coffin on this. But the Santa Fe Trail starts in Franklin, Missouri, and then of course goes to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And it was basically a trading route that people would bring goods from Missouri to Santa Fe. And then in Santa Fe, they probably picked up furs, and I'm sure turquoise jewelry, stuff like that, and then hauled it back to Missouri. It's about 800 miles worth of a trading route right here. And you can see there's pictures of a trail right through there. And it says, you are standing on a bluff above the Arkansas River, an international boundary between the United States and Mexico during the early years of the Santa Fe Trail. This area was prone to flooding, and the ruts offer an excellent illustration of how the freighters worked the terrain to make the easiest passage. And it just says, you know, because of the weather, you can see the ruts getting deeper and deeper. And then you can see the wagon tracks down on the bottom. Hopefully this is not just photos. Yeah, see, here we go. 1821. That's kind of when it began. And they're saying 900 miles, so I thought it was 800, but it's something like that. It's a lot. And hopefully we can actually see some of the trails. It looks like maybe we could see some of the spring bed maybe that they traveled in if it wasn't flooded. Well, this says 1821 to 1880. So I don't know, that sign out there is interesting. And then it says something different. But you can see the trail ruts coming across this canal. And we're right here. So maybe we can see that, I don't know. The Chisholm Trail. Now I passed this, I guess I need to stop at this. I saw something about it coming out of Dodge. And it looked like a marker on a personal ranch or something. But yeah, we need to stop at that and just kind of see what it says, I guess. The Chisholm Trail, of course, running through Oklahoma. You can see not exactly actual wagon wheel ruts, but you can see the little indentions in the ground after so many cattle came through and everything. It just kind of wore it down. This is, of course, kind of a different trail, but a lot of thistle out here, it looks like. Would have been pretty at one time before it all sort of bloomed. But yeah, they've got this little walkway here, and I thought we would take this. Let me give you a view back behind us. Really is quite a view up here. We're making a little bit of an elevation here. This is Kansas, so there's nothing big here, kind of like Oklahoma. But there are some hills here. So as you look around back behind me, there's a windmill. And then it's just kind of farm country out here. A lot of corn growing out here. As you get into Dodge, there's a lot of feeder lots. So if you ever come here, beware of the smell. So big time cattle smell right in through there. Big time beef industry here. I'm not sure what the percentage is of how much cattle come through this area, but I know it's a large portion of the United States. You can see some yuccas right here, kind of desert region plants. And I hear a cicada, locust, whatever you want to call them, depending on where you're from. This is just sort of a synthetic boardwalk. Composite board with some concrete right here. And that might have been a little sort of ravine type thing or something. Let's see. The worst piece of road. Look for long, wide depressions, different vegetation, and water courses running at odd angles at those places, and where the bridges on the path span the ruts. So right here, this would have been a location where the wagons went across. You know, they'd have to vary this depending on how soggy this was from rain or snow, or how bad the wagon ruts are and stuff like that. Flooding. So this keeps going on up here. We'll see what else is here. A lot of grasshoppers, that's for sure. But there's a lot of prairie grassland type stuff meets the kind of desert region, I guess, you know. Western Oklahoma, western Texas. But Dodge City's that way to the east. About 9.5 miles, depends on what you're actually measuring it from. So here is a compass in the middle, and this is the end of the trail. Bunch of flowers placed here. I'm not exactly sure what for. There's also some placed there and placed right here as well. And it just says the Santa Fe Trail remains has been designated a registered National Historic Landmark in 1966. And that's by the U.S. Department of the Interior. They got a couple benches here that you can sit on. And it's really kind of hard to tell what is the actual trail going off in through here, or what is actually something that's used by, say, maybe a farm or something like that. Because there's a fence, there's a barbed wire fence right through here. But you can see how this area flooded right through there. Soul's Ditch, or is it Soule's Ditch? I'm not sure how you say that. Not familiar with that. Remnants of the canal wind a snake-like across the plain. So that's kind of snake looking right through there. But then also looks like there's an indention through here going up out through that way. It does look like a Kansas wagon trail, John Wayne movie type thing here. High plains, short grass. You can see the buffalo right there on this. And then, of course, there's some desert plants, like it's saying, prairie dogs, meadowlarks, and some deer. Here it seems the wind always blows. It's just like Oklahoma, though. There's antelope or pronghorn, coyotes, prairie dogs, hawks, elks, meadowlarks, and mule deer. But there were enormous herds of buffalo, it says, and the rumbling thunderstorms could be seen for miles in this treeless area. Treeless is exactly right. Those trees that you see over there were probably brought here by the people that created that farm or that ranch or that land that they lived on long ago. Just placed those there to kind of break up the wind, you know, because the wind was so bad through here. Says the plains have changed. Water irrigation fields, cattle grazed where once numerous buffalo roamed through here. And then the trees stand where there was once open prairie. But it is still interesting to take a look at this. No matter where you go in the United States, there is a different view. And of course, this looks a lot different than places in Oklahoma. It's similar, but it's different. Kind of like where you see mountains somewhere. It's similar, but it's different. And I do think it's great to get out here and explore different areas. So they want you to stay on the trails here, but I think that is the actual trail, or at least part of it, kind of came through in different areas. It's too bad that you can't actually physically see wagon ruts or anything like that. But what do you expect? This thing's been closed down for sure since 1880. So think about that. These little sort of indentions in the ground or ruts have been in place since then. That's an awful long time. And you think about all of the rains and the snow and the wind, grasses growing, animals moving over it, people moving over it. Maybe at one time this was farmed even, and yet this remains. starting to walk back here and you can see an animal trail, I guess. Surely that's not created by people. But I wanted to just stay on the designated marked trails. Of course, that's not designated. See a fire off in the distance. But yeah, pretty interesting little area. Off in the distance there's wind turbines, so the area has certainly changed. But it is pretty. As I'm coming back, I definitely understand more of what they're talking about. The bridges mark the location. And as you're coming back from that way, you can see more of the indentations in the ground. The little dents in the ground, the places that were worn. So you can see how it just kind of comes down in it. If you're looking over here, maybe it doesn't show up as much on camera, but where that bridge is, you can see it dips down right in through there. So there were several paths coming through here where these bridges are at. And it was coming across through here. And it just depends, you know. It could have been more soggy or wet in an area. Maybe the wagon ruts were worse in one area, so they would take a different route. And kind of made it to where it wasn't a torn up road so much. You can certainly see where this dips down right through here and goes off, but more so right in through here, coming across over this hill, right straight through there. Hopefully that shows up on camera a little bit more than what I think that it does, because you can clearly tell that it came right straight through here. The vegetation has grown over it, but you can see it in person. You can see it now once the sign has explained what it is. Well, that's going to do it for today's history lesson on the Santa Fe Trail. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned a little bit of something. I hope also you could see some of it translating through the camera, because it is something to really see. It's the first time that I've actually seen the Santa Fe Trail, or at least a markings of what used to be the Santa Fe Trail like that. I've been in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I've been in the Independence and Franklin, Missouri area, but this is the first time I've actually seen ruts in the ground. And it does remind me of the Chisholm Trail, except I think those are more worn out through there from all the cattle that came through. But thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. So this is the monument that we saw on the signage that was at the Santa Fe Trail visitors area. And this does have a little bit more information, like it says 1823 caches northwest, 1,100 feet. And it says famous old trail campsite, early Army headquarters. And then looks like Fort Atkinson, 1854. And a post office, and talking about an Indian Treaty of 1853, Fort Mann 1847, and Camp Mackey 1850. So that's kind of southeast of here, I guess. And then there's this signage right there explaining more about that Fort Atkinson 1850 to 1854, and the caches and everything. Kind of small print, some tall grass there, so I don't want to get bit by chiggers or snakes. Pretty interesting that this is here. A little bit of information everywhere. So that is a dead-end road up ahead, and it's interesting that they put the famous piece of art into the trail where you see the Indian and the horse that are dead tired and worn out. But that's not actually why we stopped. As you enter the town of Dodge City from the west, you'll see these cowboys looming up ahead. They've got their lassos in hand, and maybe they're getting the heck out of Dodge, and they're outlaws. And maybe those are lawmen that are back behind them in hot pursuit. I don't know, but it is eye-catching. They are actually huge up on this hillside right there. And it's difficult to see that it says Dodge City out on the road, and even more difficult as you get up close. But there's some signage here, and I thought we would see what this signage is. It's talking about Dodge City Point of Rocks, a landmark on the Santa Fe Trail, and some different things that you can see along that trail. And then talking about where it originates and then going down into Santa Fe where it ends up and back and forth, and the different routes that they could actually take as they came through there. And Western Cattle Trail right here, a marker for that. Talks about the Texas cattle drivers that came through the area, which is really probably what that is up there. And points of rocks. And this is just kind of a landmark deal. You can actually scan a QR code and take a mobile tour of the Santa Fe Trail if you so wish. But that's pretty neat right there. Right as you're entering the west side of Dodge City.